Brad seemed more relaxed tonight than he has in the last week or 10 days. Maybe he's dying inside, but on the surface, he seemed more relaxed.
Well, I think it's something that he was worried about getting here. Once you get to the medal round, that's the first step that you have to go. He definitely would like to have a better record. But I think if he's going into the dressing room relaxed, it's going to show on his team on how they come out and approach this game. And this is one game that you can't go out there and let the butterflies control your hands.
Ron Roosh has made his way from down in the corner at ice level up to the broadcast booth. A little bit of tension here tonight, sir.
Oh, you could feel it everywhere around the gateway down there where the ice machine, the Olympia as they call it, goes off the ice. People are leaning over. What do you think is going to happen? Can we beat them? It's been like that all day, really, around the Saddle Dome. People are here to watch other games, but they're all pointing towards this one tonight, including that man, of course, who has done so well, Victor Tikhonov, running this team over the years, a full decade. And he now is up against it a little bit. He knows he's no longer in first place. If he loses, it's going to be a real scramble down the stretch.
Here we go with ХЭБШЕЙД against Larionov as the Soviets and Canada are underway here in Calgary. Number 4, Tony Styles for Canada. Bouncing it off the boards, and Ken Berry deflects it in. This is Fetisov back for the Soviets. Stick handling out of there to Larionov. He tipped it ahead, and here comes Kurutov, number 9. Into Canada's zone. Kurutov bumped by Styles, cuts back of the net, trying to center. Kurutov does, but Styles there to break it up, and now Trent Yanni carries out for Canada. Long shot. Milnikov handles that. Took no chance as ШРВИН was cutting in. And Milnikov held onto it, and then a little push by ХЭБШЕЙД at Fetisov.
Well, Vyacheslav Fetisov, he is part of the team that won a silver medal in 1980, so he is in his 3rd Olympics right now, and his last. There will be a number of players, about 6 or 7 of them, who will be leaving this team after the game on Sunday, which will be the final game of the tournament. They like to make their changes just as the Olympics end. You remember, of course, Tretiak retired. His last game was the Olympics of 1984. And they will build for 4 years, adding and replacing and so on until they have a team for 1992.
Here's the line for Canada of Tambellini, Poplinski, and Vilgraw. Randy Gregg and Zarli Zalapsky on defense, and here's Zalapsky shooting it down the ice. Back as Biakin couldn't clear it. Canada hold it in, dump it behind the net, but there to take over is Semyonov, number 30. He drops it back for Gusarov, number 5. Alexei Gusarov flips it into center ice. Soviets on the attack is number 25. Yashin shot it back to the net. Unable to center was Homatov, and Canada starts back with Steve Tambellini getting it to center. That's as far as he got. Now coming back the other way, Svetlov trying to center. Poplinski intercepts and cleared it out of there. Now back in the zone, we're going to get a penalty as number 25, Yashin, was upended. And I think Randy Gregg may have caught the eye of the referee.
Well, it was right in front of the referee, and Gregg just upended Yashin as he was cutting across in front of the net. And so Canada gets itself a penalty it really didn't need or want to take. Watch directly in front of the net. There it is, a cross-check. Knocked him flat.
Number 21, Randy Gregg.
Well, Ron, I'm surprised at that penalty because the one thing you don't want to do is put this team, the Soviets, on the power play. And really, that player in front of the net was not dangerous because the Soviets didn't have really good control of the puck. I think it's a little nerves coming through on Doctor.
You want to hear a good power play stat? The Soviets are 12 for 24. That adds up to 50%. They're dangerous. And they're on the power play right now. Here come the Soviets. Bekov, number 27, cutting in, dropping it back. Shot just wide of the target by Homatov. And Canada able to clear it out of there. And Kamensky, number 13, has to go back. Leaves it for Homatov. Now to Bekov. Into the zone, but offside. And anyway, Trent Yanni was there. And you see him being a little bit physical with Bekov. Dave King, by the way, said Canada wants to be physical tonight. Not that they're going to scare the Soviets, but just to throw them off their game every little bit they can.
You play the game physically, you throw anybody off the game. It doesn't matter who it is. You want to bump, you want to bang around a little bit. Look at Kaminsky there, who was a hero during Rendezvous last year.
1:30 left in the penalty to Randy Gregg. It was a roughing call, by the way. 1:20 the time. Kasatonov, number 7, back to get it. He and Fetisov, the point men in that KLM line up front. Larionov, Makarov, and Krutov. And they drop it back to Kasatonov. Out on the wing for Krutov. Gives it to Makarov. Back on the point, Kasatonov centered. Burke cleared it away, and then Harpin knocked it into the corner. Here's Makarov. To Fetisov. Over to Kasatonov. Centered, deflected by Krutov. Makarov now dropping it back. And number 2, Fetisov to Kasatonov. Into Larionov, but the pass hopped over his stick. Krutov to Kasatonov. Into Makarov. Centered, intercepted there on a good play by Schreiber, and Canada cleared away.
I want to tell you about a great play Wally Schreiber just made. He was in his own end zone, had lost his stick. He switched with Von Karpen, so he was on the corner of the box that was closest to the bench. He went to hit Fetisov and grabbed his stick at the same time. Very heads-up play.
Still 17 seconds left in the penalty. Larionov, number 11. And unable to hold it in was Kasatonov. Now he feeds it to Krutov. And hacking away at him is Shervin. Here's Kasatonov carrying in. Penalized player Gregg is back on. Larionov for the Soviets. Worked over by Tony Styles. Now into the corner it is Krutov. And Canada intercepted. Here's Gord Shervin to Ken Berry. Long shot. Milnikov handles that easily. And back comes Fetisov. No score. Canada's just killed the penalty. Puck dumped in by Kearney for the Soviet Union. Jim Waters back to clear it. Stolen in front. Here's a chance, and Mogilny taken out of the play before he could shoot. And Waters starts back for Canada. Played it off the board. Hustling in after it, Malinowski. And then back for the Soviets is Gusarov. Clearing it out of there to Mogilny. Now into center ice, onto the stick of Lomakin. He's checked. And back comes Malinowski. Into Jim Poplinski. Bumps there in the corner with Kearney. Now back of the net. Biakin, number 7. Trying to clear it. Felix held it in. Shot it back to the net. Malinowski put it right through the crease. And then it's cleared by the Soviets with Felix back to get it. Here's Lomakin moving in on left wing. Struck from behind on a big defensive play by Ken Yaremchuk. And back comes Yaremchuk. Shot it in, but Semyonov intercepts, and he comes right back for the Soviets. Burke makes the save. This is Zalapsky feeding to Tambellini. Steve Tambellini dumps it in for Poplinski. He charges in after it. Couldn't get it centered now. Juan Vilgraw, number 18. Taken out by Kravchuk. And it's cleared out on left wing for Yashin, number 25. And Randy Gregg feeds Poplinski. Canada attack. Jim Poplinski with a drive. Milnikov save, rebound. Zalapsky shot blocked. And back comes Yashin, number 25. Has Svetlov with him. Yashin trying to move in. Tried to stuff it in, but Burke held the post. Made the save. And then smothered it. Still no score in this game.
What emotion Canada is playing with. I think that's the player down there in that pile up in front of the net. And Poplinski, I don't know whether he's arguing. Yashin went down. He was checked down the other end of the ice, and I think that's where his problem came. He got back into the play, but then when he got back up the ice, I think he finally said, heck with this, and he sat down for a little bit. But there's going to be a penalty to Poplinski here through all of this. But Canada is playing a tremendous hockey game in terms of the emotion. Watch in front of the net now. It's number 24, Poplinski. There it is.
Penalty to Canada, number 24. So Poplinski, the game's second penalty at 5:31 here of the first period.
I think an indication of the emotion was that play by Yaremchuk. When he came back and just made a terrific play coming back. He took a cut on that. I don't know whether that was that play or the play down the other end of the ice. He really was nailed heavily up against the boards as the play broke up the ice.
High sticking the call against Poplinski. Canada may be fortunate they didn't get more than the 2-minute minor run. With the injury, I mean.
If in fact it happened in front of the net. As I say, he was involved down the other end, too. It was slow getting up from that.
So the Soviets on a power play where they are 12 for 25 with the man advantage, and Canada clear it out of there. Kasatonov and Fetisov, the point men. But up front, they have Bekov, Kamensky, and this man, Homatov. Bekov feeding it into Homatov. Into Bekov, back to Fetisov, winds up, shoots, missed the net. Homatov, number 15. To Kasatonov, return to Homatov. Into the corner to Bekov. Back to Homatov. Centered, Bekov checked and cleared away, but not out. Fetisov held it in. Shooting one, and that hit a leg and bounced into the corner. Bekov tied up by Styles in the corner. Bekov gets loose, and Homatov trying to center. Soviets on a power play. Homatov to Kamensky. Missed Homatov in front of the net, and Hampshire clears it away.
Dan, Ron, watch how tight the Canadian box is when the puck is in deep and the Soviets are working it out of the corner. The Canadians are giving the points to the Soviets, but the Soviets aren't taking them. They're trying to make the little cute pass.
Here comes Makarov to Karutov. 45 seconds left in Canada's penalty. Makarov to Fetisov. Moves it to Kasatonov in front, deflected wide by Karutov in the slot. Now Makarov into Larionov. Back to Fetisov to Larionov. Other point to Kasatonov. To Fetisov, shooting, and Burke a pad save. 20 seconds left in the penalty. Fetisov, a good play to hold it in. Into Karutov. Now to Makarov. Tries to move in. Back to Fetisov to Makarov. Side of the net to Karutov. Centered, deflected wide as Kasatonov moved in. Canada get it, and Tim Waters cleared it out of there. And cleared it too high, just as Poplinski returned from the penalty box. And an excellent penalty-killing job by Canada.
Well, Canada has had 2 penalty-killing situations, and they have, in the 2, given up only 3 shots total. So they have done a tremendous job in the penalty-killing department. And again, what Brad mentioned, that tight box and a kind of a movable box where they're managing to keep the Soviets either one side of the ice or the other, or moving around the perimeter.
Face-off coming up deep in Canada's end of the rink. Gord, SHERVIN out to take it. Now he steps aside, and Malinowski will take it against Tierney for the Soviets. Soviets win it. Here's Biakin. But a good play by SHERVIN to steal it. SHERVIN trying to get it to Malinowski. Checked in the play. Soviets come right back. And coming back is SHERVIN to Malinowski. Malinowski checked from behind by Biakin on the play. And Biakin cleared it, hit his own man. Now they do clear it into center ice. And there's Yaremchuk, number 13, getting it into SHERVIN. SHERVIN for Canada. Check from behind, and back for the Soviets, the young forward Mogilny moving in on right wing. Mogilny checked, and Randy Gregg cleared it. Got it into center ice to Yaremchuk, and then he circled back. Back to center ice, but broken up, and the Soviets go back with number 29, Kravchuk, starting to carry out. Cleared to center. Back comes Canada. Boisvert moving in, and a backhander by Schreiber wide of the net. And then the Soviet goal is knocked loose. Meanwhile, Canada thought the Soviets should have had a penalty on the play.
Well, a body check's a body check. I think that's allowed in the game. But the fans now are just hoping that the referee will start to try to even things up. I don't think you're going to find it.
No, the Canadian defense are doing a wonderful job. Just in that last penalty that the Canadians had to kill, Wally Schreiber again made an unbelievable, not an unbelievable play, the right play, where Kasatonov went to the net for that goal mouth pass, and Schreiber picked him up at the top of the circle, took him all the way to the golden net, all the way to the net. Shon BURK blocked the pass as it came across, but that's what you have to have that guy in the box doing. If that defenseman goes, you go, then the defenseman in front of the net doesn't have to worry about him.
Chance for Canada from the face-off. Poibert's shot wide. Brian Bradley, who's out with Poibert and Schreiber on this forward line, trying to center. That's the Soviet Stelnov trying to tie up the Canadian player in the corner. Canada get it loose, but can't get it centered. Serge Poibert, one of Canada's best snipers, got it in behind the net. Poibert again into Bradley. Brian Bradley to Poibert, but back is Kravchuk for the Soviets. Clears it out, and Yashin, who was injured earlier, shoots it down the ice. BURK lets it go, but the Soviet player got to it first, so there's no icing. That was Svetlov. Now Canada get it on the boards to Chris Felix, number 23. Into center ice. Taken there by Bradley. Brian Bradley. Long shot. Milnikov handles it easily. Kasatonov round on the board to the other wing, and here's Sergei Yashin, number 25. Yashin moving in on left wing. Randy Gregg tied him up, steered him in back of the net, and this is Puklinski right back for Canada. Puklinski trying to go around Fetisov. And now the play had been called apparently on an offside, but it's rather difficult to hear the whistle here tonight.
Players didn't hear it, and it's very difficult for us to hear it too, as the player just on the left wing side had cut in just ahead of Puklinski as he carried the puck over the line. Puklinski made that move just before the line and put his own man offside. That's Steve Tambellini there, who's playing pretty well in this kind of hockey. Last 3 years in Vancouver, but a first-round pick of the New York Islanders. That is junior hockey in Lethbridge, Alberta. Trent Yanni's an interesting story. This will be the 58th game that Trent Yanni has played the Soviets in the last 3 years. Now, he's on his way to the Chicago Blackhawks after this is over. Probably the best defenseman that Canada has, the captain of Canada.
Here's the face-off, won by the Soviets. Kamensky got it to center. Randy Gregg flips it in. And Fetisov has to go back. Here's Fetisov right in front of his own net. Lost it to Bilgrom, but there's the strength of Fetisov as he fought off the checker and then got it to Kamensky. Meanwhile, play is called, and Randy Gregg and one of the Soviets,
Kamensky,
collide.
Yeah, and they kind of looked each other in the eye, but you don't want to drop those gloves, and you don't want to get into anything that'll get you tossed out of the game, whether it's Kamensky or Gregg. So they just looked and averted their eyes and stepped aside.
A line for Canada of Malinowski, Puklinski, and Vilgra up front. Bekov and Tambellini on the face-off. I think I said Malinowski. It's Tambellini. Back to the point to Gregg. A drive right on, and a glove save by Milnikov, the Soviet goaltender.
I'll tell you something. Puklinski's going to have to watch himself, or he's going to cost Canada dearly here. He's lost his temper twice now. Right there was another one, and that was the one thing they were concerned about with Jim Puklinski. Now watch number 24 there. Now they do a little jousting. Now if the Soviets know they can get to him, they'll try. I mean, the one thing that Canada has been noted for over the years is its lack of discipline. Recent Olympic teams have not been that way, but Jim's got to remember he's not playing in the National Hockey League right now, and retaliation is not the norm.
Bilgrom with a shot wide of the net. Canada trying to center. Bilgrom to the corner, comes up with the puck. Bekov took him out of the play. Bilgrom continues to grind on those boards, but Bekov comes out with it. To Homatov, he missed it. Zalapsky a shot. Hit Bilgrom, then Milnikov got his sticker, his blocker up to knock it away. Centered to Tambellini, but Kasatonov clears to Homatov. Homatov, number 15, moves in, shoots. A bouncer that Shon BURK played carefully. Scooped up and just held on to.
Well, again, Puklinski down on the boards on the far side, took a swing at somebody. He's on the bench now. Shon BURK there. He could be the difference before this night is over. He's the type of goaltender that can win games for you single-handedly.
Well, he definitely does make it easier on a team in general because the Canadians will fall back and will give the perimeter shot. And you can do that if you've got a tremendous amount of confidence in the guy who's standing between those pipes. And Shon БУРК has established that. The Canadians will give anything on the outside, but they won't give him the easy tap-in.
On the contrary, Dave King told us, Ron, he does not think the Soviets have that much confidence in their goaltender, Mylnikov.
I don't think they have confidence in either one of those guys, but neither one of them has really had a lot of work in this tournament so far.
So this should be an edge for Canada.
This is it. Now YOUNI and Krutov are getting at it. So you can see as we look there at Larionov, watch him take the draw. He has got maybe the worst face-off percentage in this whole tournament. Larionov does not take a face-off very well. Watch him win it cleanly now.
No, Hampshire wins it. And here's BERRI. Just over 9 minutes remaining. First period, no score. Here's ШРАЙБЕR, number 10. Tried to shoot it in, but it bounced over the glass and into the crowd, and we're down to 8:53 to play. Shots on goal. Canada 4, the Soviets 3. That despite 2 power plays by the Soviets.
Well, Larionov, just to give for the statistically minded out there, has won only 27 of 75 faceoffs coming into this game. Hampshire, conversely, has won 63% of his faceoffs, 82 of 129, which tells you also with 129 faceoffs how often Dave King uses them in key faceoff situations. There's another faceoff won by Canada.
And that's one of the reasons he has the Hampshire, BERRI, ШRAYBER line out against that Soviet green unit. That's his intention as much as he can. Here comes BERRI. Lets the long one go. Mylnikov steered it away, and Krutov starts back. Krutov, number 9, feeding it through, and offside was ＢЕРРИ. And we get a stoppage in play. One of the few times you don't see all 5 members of the green unit out there on the ice at the same time. Right now, they had Gusarov out on defense. And now both teams make a change. Meanwhile, both teams doing a little bit of bumping and trying to get the edge on the other guy at every whistle.
They are. And I think that Dave King's team and the Canadian team is doing something that the Canadians didn't do a few years ago. They're giving little cuffs to the Soviets, where a few years ago it was punches. So we got a little different strategy. But the Soviets are playing a little bit different type of hockey. The last 2 times the Canadians came out of their end, it was a 1-4 defense. 1 guy in, 4 guys out at center ice. They're counting on a turnover by the Canadians at center ice.
Here's the lead pass. Mogilny upended on the play by Harpin. He got away with it, however. Harpin now back to touch the puck, and it's icing against the Soviets. Watching the way they're making contact after the whistle reminds you a little bit about the Nordiques and the Canadians, or the Oilers and the Flames in a playoff game.
Well, it's just a kind of a feeling out. There's the parents of Merlin Malinowski. Watching, of course, their son, Olympic play. The Magician scored a goal last game. Gave us an indication of why they gave him that nickname when he was in the junior, playing with Sudbury.
Here's Kravchuk clearing it away for the Soviets. Back is Tim Waters to touch it. And that's another icing call against the Soviet Union.
There's a terrific addition, Tim Waters. Very much an underrated defenseman, I think, in the NHL. You played against him, Brad. He came out of the 1980 team to go to the NHL on the Winnipeg Jets. Been very steady, not spectacular. To get him in this kind of hockey, under the scheme of the Dave King style of play, he fits in perfectly.
He does, and having that international experience really helps him. He does all the right things. He moves the puck well. He's exceptionally good one-on-one. We've seen him get beat once in this tournament, but that was against France. Nobody was concentrating very hard against them. But Waters will do the right thing at the right time, and he's got that NHL experience now. So he's got the mental toughness to play against these fellas.
2 guys hard to beat, Brad. Number 21 on the far side, Randy Gregg, and of course Waters when Randy's on the ice. But either one of them, they just give that rock-solid feeling back there.
They do. You know, you look at Gregg and YOUNI, you think a big defenseman in the NHL like a Bill White or a Dale Rawl from years ago, who you couldn't outleg them, and you couldn't. They had those long reach.
Here's Yaremchuk dumping it in. Kravchuk back for the Soviets, shoots it around on the boards. Chris Felix held it in into Yaremchuk. Yaremchuk trying to center. Now does center, but it's picked off there. Now stolen by Malinowski. Couldn't get the shot away. And the Soviets go back with number 21, Tierney. Beating it out on left wing for Lomakin. Number 23, Andre Lomakin. Loses it. Got it back again, and it's dumped in. And going back is number 23, Chris Felix for Canada. Felix up the middle, getting it to Yaremchuk. Now leaves it for Brian Bradley. Ahead to Schreiber. Schreiber into Boisvert. Shoots off a stick as Kasatonov just got a piece of it. And the Soviets come right back the other way. That's Mogilny trying to go through the defense. But Randy Gregg, as you pointed out, knows how to play the man, and he did it right there.
Stepped right into him.
Now Zalapsky getting it in. Fetisov there to shoot it back out. Soviets, Yashin, number 25, moves in. He's checked, and Randy Gregg again flips it into center ice. Here's Bradley for Canada. Into the zone, trying to leave it for Boisvert, but Semyonov intercepts. And here comes Yashin, has Svetlov with him. But Randy Gregg stays right with Yashin. Now Fetisov at the point. Shoots one, deflected. Burke had a beat on it all the way. And even though Semyonov deflected it, Burke able to grab it.
Well, you know, watching this, I know why the Soviets don't like playing Team Canada. I'd be frustrated if I were playing them. There's no room out there. They're jumping on the Soviets right away every time they get the puck. They're finishing their checks beautifully. Now, the Soviets may eventually go on and win this hockey game, but they'll know they've been in a struggle. It is really difficult. Meanwhile, Canada is kind of counter-punching. They're looking for the opportunity, just that little turnover inside the zone that they might be able to put in the net and see if they can hold the one-goal lead.
Loose puck came right in front of the net, and Burke was able to grab it as Tambellini went to play the puck. He was kind of hooked, and the puck slid right into the Canadian goal crease.
Every whistle, there's a little bump, just a little, remember I'm here. And it's not only Canada is doing the Soviets. Krutov has done it a couple of times, too. They're all talking to each other. There's a certain amount of feeling out there.
Oh, yeah, this is like sparring. I mean, you know the game's 60 minutes long. You want to establish your trend. You want to make the people aware of you that maybe they don't want to play this game. And that's what the Canadians do. Even the Soviets are doing it. They're strong guys. They're not taking anything out there.
6 minutes, 16 seconds left in the opening period. No score. Canada and the Soviets. Here's Tambellini getting ready to face off with Bekov, number 27 for the Soviets. Bekov wins the draw, but the shot is blocked, and Canada come up with it, and it's cleared out by Malinowski. After it, Poplinski has the man with him. But Tambellini shoots, missed by about a foot. Canada's best chance of the game. Shot to center, and Homatov for the Soviets moving in. Homatov trying to get it in front. Knocked away by Styles. Here's Bekov back on the point. Shot wide of the target by Gusarov. And then Tambellini tied up his man. Here's Kamensky. Styles knocks him down. And then to make sure, just jumped on top of him. And we get a stoppage. No score here in the first.
We saw it coming. We all went downstairs and huddled in corners. When we came out, it was just a pile of rubble.
Edmonton, July 1987. Byers Transport was hit by a tornado. An IBM System 38 computer was buried under this rubble.
You know, I really didn't think we had a company anymore. But over the weekend, IBM salvaged our computer, got us replacement terminals, and had us back up and running by Monday. You just can't imagine the efforts that IBM has made on our behalf.
With Ron Roosh and Brad Park, Dan Kelly at the Saddledome in Calgary. No score here in the first period. Canada and the Soviets. Here comes Mark Hatchide into the zone to Gord. Sherman shoots one, and that hits Stelnov and bounced into the corner. And the Soviets come right back out of there. That's Larionov, but checked by Zalapsky, who fires it back in. Milnikov leaving it there, and this is Stelnov to Karutov. Missed him, and Tim Waters fires it back in, hit the referee with it. Here's Stelnov for the Soviets, back to Kravchuk. He's on the attack, number 29. Igor Kravchuk trying to center for Karutov. Now Karutov flips it into the corner. Burke back of the net will shoot it on the glass himself. Gets it to SHERVIN. Couldn't get it out. Here's Larionov near the blue line. Shoots Burke. A stick save on a shot he just saw at the last second. And then it's cleared by Canada.
Well, it looked easy. That was a tremendous save because he did not see that puck until the very last instant and then got that pad out and the stick and kicked it away. But Larionov had just turned and just drifted a little floater towards the net. Here it is now, and this is a good view of it, too. Just a little floater, and then that instant he saw it, he kicked it out. Out in front was Ken Berry, number 9 for Canada, screening off his view. He's got tremendous reaction.
I was watching Ken Berry on that last shift, and him and Makarov were doing a heck of a dance. They should have been in the figure skating. He had a hold of them. They had their sticks locked. They were together for a good 20 seconds out there.
Here's Tierney against Yaremchuk deep in Canada's end of the rink. Kasatonov at the point, a shot. That's blocked into the corner. Lomakin tied up on the play by Tony Styles. And then Canada's Von Karpin flips the puck into center ice. Here comes Yaremchuk, but back was Fetisov to intercept. He gives it to McGillney. And then it's shot to center ice.
Kasatonov's on the limp. He's heading off to the bench now. That collision hurt.
Canada back in their own zone. Number 4, Tony Styles, wearing a different style helmet since getting that concussion in the early part of this tournament. Back is Trent for Canada. On the boards, Yaremchuk, number 13. Ken Yaremchuk carries outside the line, checked by Tierney. And here's a chance for McGillney. Moves in, missed the net. He had Lomakin with him, but elected to shoot, and he missed by about a foot.
Styles getting a little too anxious at the blue line there to throw a body check, and he set up a 2-on-1, and McGillney just missed.
There's Soviets on the attack. Semyonov tied up on the play. Randy Gregg comes up with it. Couldn't get it out as Gusarov held it in. Into Svetlov. Svetlov knocked down by Zalapsky. And here's Zarli Zalapsky for Canada. Fires it in. Byakin back to get it, but Boisvert knocked him off the puck. In to help out is Canada's Schreiber. They drop it back to Zalapsky. Behind the net to Boisvert. He missed it. And Gusarov clears it into center ice to Yashin. Now to Semyonov. Over to Svetlov. Shoots Burke, a stick save. And it deflects up into the crowd, and we're down to 2:49 remaining in a tension-packed first period.
Tension isn't the word. You realize that at this stage with these two clubs, we've got a grand total here in the first period of 11 shots. 6-5 favor the Soviets right at this moment. Only one great scoring play, really, and that was Tambolini from Poplinski. Here's this chance, and had it all the way. The other one, Larionov let that little floater go that was kicked away by Burke. He saw it at the last moment, but the best scoring play was clearly the Canadian one. Tambolini getting in front of the net on that rush from the blue line of Canada all the way up into Soviet territory by Poplinski.
There's a little pushing and shoving between Chris Felix and Homatov. Off to the right of the face-off, and the referee comes over that way now. Just that little jabbing that both teams are doing to try and get the upper hand. Bekov battling on the face-off. Got it. Kamienski's shot blocked. Now Homatov, but he's taken out of the play by Felix, and Poplinski cleared it to Vilgra. Juan Vilgra, nice behind the back pass to Tambolini, and Canada able to clear it out of the zone. Here's Homatov, number 15. Vilgra ties him up. Homatov centered. Loose in front, couldn't get the shot off. Here's Kravchuk's shot blocked, and it bounces back to center, and Stelnov is there for the Soviets. Over to Kravchuk, and he just dumps it down the ice. Hustling back for Canada, Tim Waters. That's icing, and then Bekov takes Waters out of the play, and we're down to 2:06 left in the first period.
This kind of reminds me, Brad, of two sumo wrestlers kind of a hold of each other, and they're one's trying to get a little edge, and they're kind of pushing and pulling, and nothing's happening, and nobody's giving an inch, and a little intimidation and a little glaring, but nothing really is happening out there. And if you love this defensive style of hockey, it's being played letter perfect out there tonight.
Well, the interesting thing about it, when you get a low shot game like this, a low-scoring game, is you always know that one goal, any goal at any time, can be the difference. So the pressure just brings more drama to this, and you can feel that the butterflies are gone in these teams. They are ready to go after one another.
Here's Makarov. This is the line you have to stop. They do most of the Soviet scoring, and Styles broke it up there. And back comes Hampshire. Into Shervin. Shoots. Mylnikov got a glove on it. And then it ricocheted wide of the target. Soviets come right back. Larionov to Makarov. Leaving it there for Fetisov, who comes up with the play. Then he missed his pass to Larionov. Pinching in is Fiakin, number 6. Got it into the corner. Berry can't clear it. Here's Fiakin to Larionov. Larionov got away from Styles to Krutov. Big save, Burke, and Makarov missed on the rebound. That's the Soviets' best chance to this point.
Got behind Burke, but Yanni was right there and cleared it out of harm's way.
Fetisov back to get it to Makarov. Just over a minute to play in the first period. Makarov trying to feed it through, and Gregg was there like the Rock of Gibraltar to break it up. Here's Tierney trying to carry in. Now Mogilny, and Malinowski ran into him. Fiakin fires it in. Burke lets it go because it will be icing as Zalapsky goes back to touch it. 48 seconds left, and a little after the whistle action again with the youngster Mogilny, one of their stars of the future, involved for the Soviets.
All right, let's watch this now. Here it is. Yanni got himself a little out of sorts there when he fell down. He got back into the goal mouth, but here's the shot. It went off and rolled through the goal mouth on a backhand, and there was Yanni, who positioned himself quickly back in the goal mouth, and he cleared it out of harm's way, Brad.
Well, Trent, Yanni got cut by Larionov, and you wouldn't see it unless you look for it. But Larionov had a hold of Yanni's stick behind the net, so when the puck came there, Yanni couldn't use his stick to pitchfork or get on, and Larionov held his stick, took the puck, skated away from him, and then just threw it in front of Krutov. A little thing like that, just letting some guy tie up your stick at the wrong time, can produce a good scoring opportunity.
48 seconds left in the opening period. No score. Big face-off as Tierney, number 21, takes it against Brian Bradley. Bradley gets the draw to Felix, but the shot blocked. Mogilny has a break. Waters chasing Mogilny. Burke the save on Mogilny. And then Felix able to clear it out. Canada got the center. Kravchuk knocks it down. Back the other way comes Tierney. Tierney all tied up by Waters. And now Canada's Berry or Bradley got at the center. To Boisvert to Bradley. Into Boisvert. Cuts in. Shoots, and that hit the skate of Kravchuk and bounced away. 15 seconds left in this opening period. Kravchuk ahead for Lomakin. Wrist shot right on. Burke, very confident, makes the save. And it's cleared by Felix to the line, but not out. 3 seconds left. They just drop it back to Burke. And this opening period is over. No score. Canada and the Soviets. Soviets out shooting Canada in the period. 10-6. But a scoreless game after. Well, the green unit is back in force to start this period. And again, Hampshire, Shervin, Berry, Yanni, and Styles out to face him. Kasatonov was shaken up, but he's out there and controls the puck right now as Fetisov gave it to him. Kasatonov to Krutov, trying to get away from Shervin, and Styles is back for Canada to get it. Number 4, Styles loses to Krutov. Styles fell, trying to cover up on the puck. Knocked loose, and Shervin has to come back. Shervin out to Berry. Knocked it by Kasatonov. And Larionov will have to chase back for the Soviet Union. Igor Larionov, and as he touches the puck, icing called against Canada.
Igor Larionov, by the way, he did not instantly become the center between Makarov and Krutov. He took over the job there in the 1981-82 season. Viktor Shluptov had been the centerman on that line. Here's a little more of the...
That's the dance team I was telling you about.
That's not bad. Now, who's going to let go first? That's
you don't let... I will let go if you do.
Makarov just says, that's enough of that. Well, that's a pretty good sequence there. Huh.
Here's Tambellini on a face-off against Semyonov deep in Canada's zone. Face-off won by Canada. Felix off the boards, but big Semyonov is there to flip it into the corner. Gregg came over to take him. Now Yashin out in front. Shoots, he scores! Number 25, Sergei Yashin, comes from behind the net, and the Soviets at the 45-second mark of the second period lead 1-0.
Well, you're not going to see quickness like that very often. Yashin, with a tremendous burst, he went one way and then went the other. As the puck goes behind the net, we missed it completely on that one. We'll get another. Here's a good view of it now. As he comes out quickly, and BURK got over, but just that fraction late, and it's into the net.
A big decision in front of the net by Zarli Zalapski. He guessed that Yashin was going to come out to one side, and he just went right around the other side and did the wraparound.
Here the Soviets on the attack. Semyonov in to try and get it. Zalapski quickly clearing it out. And Randy Gregg feeds Bill Graw at center. Leaves it for Zalapski. Moves in his shot wide of the net. Bill Graw at the right point. Shoots one wide of the target. Now Zalapski missed it, and getting it is Svetlov. He has Yashin with him. Svetlov cuts behind the net. Gregg is after him and knocked him down. And Bill Graw back to get it for Canada. Claude Bill Graw into center ice to Zalapski, but Biakin intercepts that. Now the puck loose in the neutral ice area, and now it's called back on a two-line offside pass. The scoring play, Yashin, is second of the Olympics from Semyonov. 45 seconds to time.
Well, that quick goal there, you see Yashin going to the bench. He was not in the Canada Cup last year or the World Championships in 1987, but he came back for Izvestia. One of 4 forwards from Moscow Dynamo who are here. Of course, most of the team made up of the Central Army players.
Here is Chris Felix at center ice, firing it around on the boards. Back to get it is Schreiber. Couldn't hold it in. Now Schreiber into the other corner. To Bradley. He's checked. Waters had pinched in, but Homatov cleared it out of there. Canada shoot it right back in, and it's offside at the Soviet blue line as you look at number 8 of Canada, Brian Bradley.
Well, he's going to stay here, I would imagine, with the Calgary Flames as soon as this one is over. With Calgary last year, in 40 games he did play with the Flames. He scored 28 points. Very smart hockey player. Montreal Canadiens fans might remember his father. He played in the Canadiens organization for a while in the minor league system. His name was Walter Bradley.
Brian hails from Kitchener, Ontario. Here's a long shot off the Canadian defense stick up over the glass and into the crowd. You were talking about the Soviets as we look at one of their young up-and-coming stars, Kravchuk. My understanding, Ron, is they've made 7 changes from the team we saw in the Canada Cup, and I guess the team that was on the ice at Izvestia.
Well, they were experimenting a lot during the Izvestia Cup, and a lot of those names that you see not there anymore were names we hadn't seen before in any case. But this team is not the type of team that changes a lot.
Here's Kravchuk back to get it. Clears to Kamensky on the boards. Now to Igor Stelnov, number 4, who fires it in. Burke's there to clear it. Waters trying to knock it out. Here's Beckhoff trying to make a play. Couldn't, and Boisvert back for Canada. But a poke check at the blue line by Kravchuk broke it up. Here's Beckhoff. Little wily center iceman, wiry. Shot in now by Kravchuk and bounces back out, and here's Beckhoff there to pick it up. To Kasatonov. And he drops it to Fetisov. Fetisov shoots one, blasted that one wide of the net. And that shot had some smoke on it, didn't it?
I thought it was going to go through the boards. He really leaned into it.
Here's Tim Waters trying to clear it out. Fetisov back to get it. And that's icing against Canada.
Good grief, I'd hate to be standing in front of a shot like that. Well, he just came up, and he was given all that space, and he just came across the line. The defense was backing up, and he leaned into it. So it would have gone through Shon BURK if it had hit him.
Well, that's one of the problems. You know, if you give a guy a free ride all the way through center ice, and he's got time to wind up, especially a guy with the strength of Fetisov, you know he's going to get to that blue line, and that's like facing a wrist shot from the dot. I mean, you don't see it until it hits something, and that was a perfect example of that.
Kearney against Yaremchuk. Soviets win the draw, but the shot by Mogilny is blocked, and Von Karpen able to kick the puck into center ice. Kasatonov has it there now, giving it to Lomakin. Back to Fetisov. Now down right wing comes Kearney. Trying to go around Zalapsky, centered. In front, a shot on the net is knocked loose as the Soviet player had been knocked in there. And that stops play.
Well, look at the effort Randy Gregg made in blocking that shot. He's just getting up now, but he went down, and he was about to stop that with his head. Here it is again. The play will come into the slot. Now watch Randy Gregg, number 21. Forget about the net going up. Here it comes down. Now Gregg just goes down, and that's not the way you want to take a shot. You sprawl right into the shot like that. Well, you're asking for a lot of trouble and a sore jaw.
Well, that's true. You know, sometimes you've got to make a decision to block a shot in a fraction of a second, and sometimes there is no method to your madness.
And that's madness.
That's dedication.
That's wanting to win.
Larionov, Tarutov, and Makarov up front. Back on defense, they're going to team them with Gusarov and Biakin as they still work on the Canadian goal tree. Apparently something wrong with the ice right at the left goal post that the linesman now works on.
Talk about the Larionov line. They have been the top scoring line in the Soviet Union for 7 straight years now, ever since they were put together. As I said, Shluktov used to be the center. Lou Nanny spent about 3 years trying to get Shluktov over here, and at one point thought he was going to get him for the Minnesota North Stars, but that fell through.
Here's Canada with Ken Berry down left wing. Into center ice to Shervin. He's checked and now Hampshire. Over to Trent Yanni. Now to Berry into the zone. Larionov there to clear it out. Flipped in by Yanni and controlled now by Shervin. Shervin shot it up the ice, but right onto Biakin's stick, and here's Larionov. Larionov, drop pass, poked in front, kicked that, and kicked wide by Makarov. Gusarov at the point. I thought that puck had come outside the blue line, but they didn't whistle it down, and Burke had to make the save.
Pepper's flare once again. 1-0 the Soviets leading as you look at Sergei Makarov. What a long and great career. Some great moves here. But
there goes Ken Berry. There's that dance team going. Now watch Makarov. He steals the stick, pulls it out of his hand. He says, I'm going to put it where he can't get it, and he dropped it on the back of the net.
Ever seen so much lumber lying around? We've had 6 or 7 players now lose sticks. Just lose them, not break them. And Makarov there with a great effort to kick it there with Tarutov just off the side of the net. That very nearly cost Canada, and he was tied up completely, still managed to get a pass away. A foot pass, mind you, a soccer pass. But
there's Semyonov. They have him listed at 6'2", but boy, he looks bigger than that as you see him stand out there to take the face-off. Number 30 for the Soviets. Hampshire and Semyonov. Waters trying to clear it for Canada. Hampshire got it to Vildra. Claude Vildra from Carlsberg, Quebec, moving in. Steered into the corner by Stelnov. Now Tambellini back to the net. Did get it in front, but Stelnov there to intercept. Stelnov to Yashin, who scored the only goal. Into Semyonov. Hooked that by Felix, and now Poklinski comes over. He bumps with Kravchuk. Jim Waters now with the puck. Round on the boards to Chris Felix. And Felix able to clear it out into center ice. Stelnov shoots at the Canada's blue line. Jim Waters has it there. Waters skated off by Svetlov. Now Vildra for Canada, but Kravchuk ties him up. Back into the Soviet zone, and here's Igor Stelnov, number 4. Quickly out on the board. Shot by Kravchuk into center ice. Canada break it up. Back they come. Long shot by Bradley. Bad save by Milnikov. Soviets clear it. Held in again by Canada. In behind the net for Boisvert. He gets it to Bradley. Bradley centers. Schreiber a shot. Blocked by Stelnov. Schreiber still after it. And then it's cleared by Kaninsky out of there. Folks thought that the Soviets could have had a penalty, but none was called. And this is icing as Gregg goes back to get it. Soviets leading here in the second period, 1-0.
While the country is going to sleep, Canada's largest courier air fleet is being loaded, ready to span the skies from coast to coast, serving cities, towns, and communities all across this great land. Purolator's investment in resources and technology makes them the fast, dependable, all-Canadian courier company. Why waste time with anyone else? Call us.
With Brad Park and Ron Roos, Dan Kelly at the Saddle Dome. Quick shot by Yaremchuk from the faceoff. Milnikov stops that, trying to center. Malinowski. Let the Soviets break it up and clear it out of there. And here's Fetisov carrying in to Bekov. Yaremchuk will get a penalty. Bekov took a dive, but they'll call the penalty anyway on Yaremchuk, and he can't believe it. I told you earlier that Bekov was a wily little guy, and I don't think there's any question. He took a 9.9 dive, but the referee didn't spot the dive, didn't spot the hook.
Well, he saw a stick go up around the face of Yaremchuk as he was going over the line. Now, here it is. There's the stick. You can see it up. Now, Bekov just simply went down on the play. I don't know how much of the hook was in there. Yeah, I think he's been called for high sticking, not for a hook. And Bekov, what he did was make sure that the referee saw it.
Again, the referee is Antti Koskinen of Finland.
Don't want the sticks up. Well, you're going to have all the holding, and apparently he's letting that go, and he's letting a lot of the pushing go and everything else. But the sticks go up, and that's when the penalties are called.
So the Soviets, with that strong power play, 12 for 26, but 0 for 2 in this game, have the man advantage and lead it 1-0. Here's Homatov into the corner, side of the net to Bekov. Back on the point. Here's Byakin into the side of the goal to Homatov. Got it in front, shot by Bekov, right on, and Burke comes up big and held on. And then Berry jousts in front of the net with Homatov.
All right, here's the play. Watch the stick of Yaremchuk up around the face. And Bekov, as I say, we don't have a good enough view to see whether he got it into the face or not. But it was enough to attract the referee, who was on the other side of the ice and looking straight at it, and he called it.
I'm not saying it wasn't high sticking. I'm just saying Bekov made it.
Oh, he added to it. I mean, but again, emphasize it. Make it look good. He made it look pretty good, too. They're going to get I think, I don't know what's going on here. Has the timeout been called, or they're just slow getting organized?
Going to move the faceoff outside the blue line for some reason. Bekov, Kamensky, and Homatov up front. Gusarov will be 1-point man again, along with Byakin. Canada with Trent Yanni on defense with Styles, and Yanni fires it down the ice. Habscheid and Boisvert are the penalty killers as Gusarov is back to get it. Over for Byakin. Now to number 13, Valery Kamensky. Off the boards to Bekov. To Gusarov. Now to Kamensky. Tried to get it in front, knocked away by Canada and cleared out of there. Look at that Byakin come back to get the loose puck.
Well, they're wheeling right now.
Here's Homatov. In front to Bekov, and Burke got a piece of that. That Bekov worked his way into the slot and made a deflection. Now Homatov to Bekov, he scores! Same combination again. And Bekov on the power play makes it 2-0 for the Soviets.
Well, Canada outmanned in the slot. Bekov was alone in front twice. He got the deflection right on Burke the first time, and on the second time, Bekov was able to steer it right up top, Brad.
Well, watch how Homatov realizes what's happening in front of the net. Two guys are covering one guy. He goes out. Yanni slides. But what happened? He made a perfect pass around the feet of Trent Yanni. A very heads-up play by the part of Bekov, because he realized that two guys were covering one guy in front of the net. That means that Yanni was going to be outmanned for a goal mouth pass.
That Bekov is like a water bug out there. He's 5'8", 160 pounds, and he's here, there, and everywhere.
A lot of people like to compare him with Ken Linseman of the Bruins, who has that same style and attitude on the ice.
Now Canada down 2-0. A power play goal. Bekov from Homatop and Biakin. 7:22 of the time. Here's Stelnov trying to shoot it in. Burke at the side of the net was going to clear it. And then Tambellini took the man out of the play and let Burke play the puck.
Well, there's Bekov getting a little treatment. A whack on the chin, apparently, through all of that. Now they're going to come out of this one with some bruises.
You see, Styles doesn't have a stick. And that's why he went to the man in front, and Bekov went to the side. And he realized that there's Styles' stick, so Bekov knew that he had some room, and that's why he went to the net with a puck. I mean, Homatop and made the pass to Bekov.
What's happening out there, Brad? We see so many sticks lying on the ice. They're hanging on to each other and whacking each other and doing everything, and the sticks are being dropped.
Well, what's happening is you're in front of that net, and to tie up a guy, if they're physically strong, the Russians, you grab their stick because that's as good as knocking them on the rear end sometimes and doesn't call a penalty. So they grab your stick, and now one guy pulls the stick out of the other person's hand.
Here's Womack at center. Bill Groth checked him. Trying to fight up ice is Tambellini. He gets checked. And now back the other way is Womack shooting it into the Canadian zone. Waters for Canada. Canada trailing 2-0. Bill Groth to Chris Felix. Canada noted for their defense and also noted for their lack of offense. So this is a tough situation they face now. No icing on the play as the Canadian player Poplinski got down in a hurry to play the puck. Now Hampshire dropping it back for Gregg. Cleared into center. Here's Fetisov trying to break in. Fetisov to Karutov in the slot. Weak shot. Burke able to stop it, even though it was wide of the net. And then hold on to it. This isn't the game plan that Canada would like, Ron.
Well, they don't like being behind. It's difficult for any hockey team to come from behind. Triply difficult for Team Canada to come from behind because they just aren't that kind of a team. They don't have that much offense. They need a break now. They need something to go in the net for them, something that can get them going. Now, Canada has not scored a medal round goal since 1980. Dan Dalby scored a goal then. So they are, actually, it goes back even further than that. They didn't score a medal round goal since 1970, 68, I guess, because they missed a couple of Olympics. And 80, when they didn't reach the medal round. 84, they were shut out in both games in the medal round that they played.
Here's Randy Gregg working it over on the far side. Now shot to center and taken over at the Soviet line by Fetisov to Larionov to Makarov. Makarov, wrist shot, Burke. Glove save. And he held on to it, and then Randy Gregg pinned Makarov around in the goal crease. Burke flashing up that left hand to make an excellent save.
Oh, there's Makarov. What a great career he has had since the day his brother, who was playing for the Central Army, brought him into the Central Army's dressing room and introduced him to his hero, Valery Harlamov. He went on to become Harlamov's replacement as the annual all-star left winger in the Soviet Union.
Well, the chicken tries to work on this Soviet team. It hasn't worked so far. They're leading 2-0. Here's Fetisov. To Karutov behind the net. Tied up on the play by Hampshire. Now Makarov. To Fetisov. Into the corner to Karutov to Larionov. Other point, Kasatonov banned on the shot, but then play is called as Canada's net had been knocked loose again.
Now more tough sledding in front of that Team Canada net. I'll tell you, you don't want to, if you get in there, it's like getting into the trenches. Well,
you know, the old coach's expression, you got to take a guy to the net, and that's been taken literally here tonight. You're going to take him to the net, through the net, making sure that guy does not get into a play.
Face-off will be to the left of Canada's goal. Shots on goal in the game. The Soviets 17, Canada 8. Both of the Soviet goals in this period. Soviets have outshot Canada 7-2 in the second period. You can see them coming on in the last couple of minutes of the first, and it's carried right over here to the second. Here's Hampshire, checked by Waters. And Winnipeg Jets defenseman Tim Waters starts to carry out of there. Up the middle for Schreiber. Schreiber couldn't get around the big defenseman Biakin. And back of the net is Gusarov. Misses Semyonov, but gets Yashin at center. And Chris Felix knocked it away. Into Bradley. Bradley for Canada. Bradley shoots, and a stick save by the goaltender Mylnikov. Semyonov clears it out of there. And here comes Svetlov. But the only man back, Waters, played him perfectly and broke it up. And Tim Waters tries to get it going the other way. To Bradley. Back to Waters, but Semyonov at center ice flips it back in. Here's Biakin coming in, but it's offside at Canada's blue line, and we're down to 9:42 left in the second period. Let's look in and listen at the Soviet bench if we can.
They're pretty quiet guys right now. They've got the 2-0 lead.
Come on, Victor, say something.
Or Igor. Is he going to be the next coach of the Soviet Union? Many people think so. Fellow in the foreground.
Puck cleared in by the Soviets. Zalapsky back to get it. Out on the left wing side for Malinowski. Now to Zalapsky. Back to Malinowski. Headmanning to Yaremchuk. Yaremchuk trying to go around Kravchuk. Leaves it there. Comes back to Yaremchuk. He's tied up on the play. Couldn't get the shot off. And Kamensky cleared it into center ice. And Malinowski back to get it. Malinowski to Karpin. Now back to Malinowski. Into Karpin. But Kravchuk was there defensively. And the Soviet Homatov feeding to Kamensky to Homatov. Broken up by Zalapsky. He headmans it on left wing, and here comes Malinowski. Into the zone, trying to get it to Bilgrom. Claude Bilgrom tries to center. Yaremchuk in the other corner, but Stelnov all over him, and Bekov is able to carry out. Number 27, Bekov. Moving in, shoots, Burke a save. And then he covered up. And then Bekov trying to tug away at Randy Gregg, threw his glove away.
Well, the main line, the green unit, has been tied up pretty well, but the other guys are now starting to come on. They've scored the goals. Here's Bekov. He's got that great speed. Fakes at the defense. Shot it off his back foot, Brad.
Well, he had to. That's when the quicker you can release a puck, the more you can catch a goaltender. When you're going over there and you're off balance and that defenseman's got a stick on you, you better be able to pull the trigger or you're never going to get a shot away. And you'll find that in the when hockey players, young hockey players, you teach them to step into the puck because they don't have the strength in their wrist. But as they get older, they should be able to snap that shot off of either foot at any time.
Fetisov a drive, and Burke a stick save, and it's a flex up, and then Felix in front of the net knocks Mogilny on the seat of his pants.
Well, the little kid's getting a welcome into this kind of hockey. Alexander Mogilny, who they think is just going to, in the Soviet Union, they think he's going to be a great, great player. Just turned 19 during the tournament. Now watch, Mogilny just took a little shot from Burke, and a little extra shot there from Felix. Down he goes. Great skater, great shot. Youngest player on the team right now and a star in this year's World Junior Tournament in Moscow.
Face-off in Canada's zone, won by Hampshire. Back of the net to Waters. Here's Mogilny intercepting it again. Poplinski trying to tie him up, and now Chris Felix. Back of his own goal. Felix, long lead pass to Hampshire, and Mylnikov out of the net, able to cover up on it, and then a flash at Hampshire. I think it was by Fetisov. Now Mogilny pushes at Hampshire.
Well, then Mylnikov came out of the crease, and he was going to have a save. Well, there's two big guys. I wonder how they'd fare if they ever have a set two. Fetisov, by the way, will fight. He was in one of the rare brawls in the World Hockey Championships. Wound up with a big suspension along with the two coaches. Dave Johnson, the U.S. coach here, was the coach at that time for the U.S. team. Jimmy Johnson in Pittsburgh. Neil Sheehy, former Calgary Flame, all involved in this deal. And they say Fetisov handled himself very well, thank you, for a guy who doesn't fight at all.
Speaking of fighting, 3 penalties in this game, all to Canada. One cost them a goal. The last goal by Bekov was on a power play. Soviets have not had a penalty in the game. Puck is cleared down the ice by the Soviets. Tim Waters back to get it. 8 minutes and 2 seconds left in the second period. Felix into center ice to Bill Graw. Trying to move in with Poplinski, but it's broken up. And called him an offside anyway at the Soviets' blue line.
We don't have a mic on him. I don't think we better have a mic on him either. He's pretty upset, and I don't blame him. I don't think that was an offside.
I got a feeling that Jim Poplinski said to Fetisov in the NHL, I hope you get your money. I want to see you, son. I want to see you regularly.
Hampshire, Berry, and Shervin out against the KLM line for the Soviets. Kurutov, Larionov, and Makarov. Now Makarov, and now back to the play. We're going to get a penalty. An interference call against Byakin. First penalty of the game against the Soviets. The Canadian power play coming up right here.
There's only one reason, one simple, honest, one excellent reason why you have made Labatt 50 so amazingly popular. Quite simply, it's the care and attention that we put into brewing one of the best beers in the world.
You'll never find a better beer. Well, an interference penalty against Byakin. Let's see what Canada can do here.
Well, they don't score a lot of goals, but I think now is the time.
3 for 16 on the power play during this tournament. Canada center, Hampshire shoots. Oh, and he shot it just wide. Great chance by Hampshire. Berry trying to center again. Hampshire in to help out in the corner. He gets dumped. And Fetisov knocked down the Canadian player. Fans thought that there should have been a penalty as Berry was dumped, but the referee let it go. Loose puck stolen here by Kurutov, but he's thinking in defensive terms and comes all the way back to center. Now he'll attack, and Berry takes him out of the play. Hampshire couldn't get it by Fetisov. Here's Makarov. Back into his own zone to Gusarov. Over to Fetisov. And the Soviet captain fires it down the ice. 1:05 left in the penalty. Felix, number 23 for Canada. Quickly to Schreiber. Now into center ice to Bradley, who fires it in. Coming in, trying to center is Schreiber. Soviets clear it back out. Felix for Canada. Now it's Tambellini shooting it in. In comes Schreiber. Stelnov there. Puck came in front of the net. Gusarov cleared it. And here's Svetlov, number 16. He's checked from behind, and back comes Bradley for Canada. They fire it in. Trying to dig in is Schreiber back of the net. But Semyonov comes up with it and clears it down the ice in just 16 seconds left in the penalty. After the early good shot and the miss of the net, Canada's had nothing in this power play.
Almost like they shot their bolt, isn't it?
Robchuk for the Soviets. Trying to beat Homatov. Burke out of the net to play that one. Leaves it for Trent Yanni. Cleared, intercepting Byakin just out of the penalty box. Byakin's weak shot, and Zalapsky cleared it away. Homatov over to get it. Trying to center. Here's Bekov, back of the net. Byakin tried to center, but Yaremchuk intercepts. In Yaremchuk to Vilgraw at center. He just tipped it into the zone, and Fetisov is back for the Soviets. Vilgraw into Voracek. Does a good job. Knocks Fetisov down, but Bekov came back to help out. And the Soviets clear it out of there. And will take the icing call as Tim Waters goes back to touch it.
Well, we've got 19,000 people here in the Olympic Saddle Dome right at the moment. And all of them a little bit on their hands at the moment, waiting for something to happen. At this good chance, that's Hampshire just missing the net. You've got to score on those chances. If you don't, you know, this is the old line. You're only in a top flight game against a top flight opponent. You're only going to get so many scoring chances a game. And if you don't capitalize on them, you're out to lunch. The Soviets have had maybe 4 great chances. They've scored on 2 of them.
Well, that's what they'll do. You know, they'll kind of come at you and come at you when they want. They will not come at you when the offensive structure is not good. They've got to want to outman you to get that good scoring turn.
Here's Kearney and Mogilny on a breakaway. Big save, Shon БУРК on the youngster Mogilny, who was in alone. And it's cleared down the ice with Kasatonov back to get it. Over on left wing for Gusara.
Second time Mogilny's been stoned by БУRК on breakaways.
Kearney trying to work it in. Gets help from Kamensky. Malinowski tying him up. Jim Waters over on the boards. 4 players jam up. And it's held there, and we got to stop it. Big, big save by Shon БУRK.
Well, he just stands tall, literally and figuratively. Big guy, 6'3". Here's Mogilny coming in now, and a nice setup on the play as it's set in by Chernik.
Keep your eye on БУRК here. Watch, he just stood his ground. He did not flinch. He did, he backed in far enough. He knew he had backed in far enough. He says he's got to shoot it. If he doesn't, I'm going to my right because he's going there.
Still got his iTech equipment from the World Junior Championship. He's the only Soviet to wear the full face guard.
Here's Trentiani for Canada. 4:33 left here in the second period. Now Tony Styles, number 4, crossing center and dumping it in. Fetisov trying to shoot it back out. There's Schreiber held it in. His shot turned aside by Mylnikov. And now on the attack, Larionov, a quick shot, and that gave БУRK difficulty, but he kicked out his right leg, made the save, and here's Trentiani. Flips it in with Fetisov back to get it. Over to Kasatonov, into center ice to Larionov. Larionov to Karutov. Zalapsky there to bump him off the puck. Zarli, Zalapsky. Number 1 draft choice of the Pittsburgh Penguins a couple of years ago to Schreiber. Mylnikov handles that. And Fetisov. Trying to carry out, was in trouble. Gives it to Kasatonov, to Yashin. He scored the Soviets' first goal. Trying to get around GREGGG. Couldn't. Here's Makarov. Centered in front. Carried away by Poplinski. Jim Poplinski from the Calgary Flames misses Tambellini with a pass, and Kravchuk there to clear it away. And Poplinski back to get it to Trentiani. Now into center ice for Tambellini. Shoots, Mylnikov, save, rebound. Quickly cleared away by Kravchuk before Tambellini could get it. And the Soviets shoot it into the Canadian zone. Waters back after it. Now to Poplinski. Kamensky held it in. Here's Felix for Canada. Soviets showing at this point they know how to play a little bit of defense, too.
Well, they've shut them down now, and the game is just getting into that kind of a stage. Canada really needs a break now. They need something that'll get them started, put the Soviets back on their heels a little bit.
Homatov doing some fancy stick handling. Homatov knocks the Canadian defenseman down, but Canada come up with the puck, and here's Poivre. Couldn't get it out of the zone. Kamensky held it in. Chris Felix back to get it. Losing. Here's Homatov, centered, but Poivre intercepts. Here he comes with Schreiber. Pass to Schreiber. Kravchuk back defending on the play, and he just rides Schreiber out of the play, and Beckhoff able to clear it. Here's Kamensky. Moves in, and the play is offside. Mogilny in ahead of the play over on right wing, and we're down to 1:59 left in the second period. A second period that's been dominated by the Soviets.
Cliff Fletcher watching Brian Bradley, a couple of other players on the ice that he'd like to have. And as we mentioned, about 19,000 people here in the Saddle Dome. There are anywhere between 30 and 50,000 who couldn't get in here, who are down at the plaza. And the medal ceremonies are going on down there. Boy, do they jam that place every night. Part of the celebrations in Calgary, and what a celebration it's been for the last week and a half.
And then a laser show plus fireworks every evening really has this town excited, plus all the visitors. Here's Yaremchuk. Tell you what, it excites the folks a little more would be a goal by Canada, Ron.
Well, I'm a little surprised at how quiet this crowd is here in this building. They have not really gotten into the game. You know, it's almost like the tension got the better of them, and they're on the edge of their seats. They really never got into it from the beginning, and now trailing 2-0. Team Canada could do with a little support down there, and all they're getting is the kind of moral support without the vocal side of it.
Well, what's happening is that Team Canada's not really been getting in the last 10 minutes any good scoring opportunities other than the power play chance by Schreiber. So if you don't get the 2-on-1 or the 3-on-2, it's hard to bring people to your feet.
Face-off won by the Soviets at the point, Gusarov, but now they rule the puck was dropped unfairly, so they'll do it over again. Soviets have scored 2 goals in this period. Yashin at the 45-second mark, and then a power play goal by Bekov at 7:22. And they've controlled it since that point. Here's Yaremchuk. Down right wing, cutting in, got it in front. Mildakov a save. Soviets quickly clear it. Iouni at the point. Firing it in. Yaremchuk back of the net. Couldn't get it. Now Harpin centered. That's cleared away by Cherny for the Soviets and shot down the ice. One of the few offensive thrusts that Canada's had. That provided by Yaremchuk on that last rush. Canada again. Bilgrau, long pass for him. Missed him. And it's icing as Gusarov is back to touch it.
Not very often you'll see a Soviet outskated, but Gusarov there with Yaremchuk coming down on him just went by him on the way down towards the goal. Gusarov, may I say, kept the lane blocked. There wasn't a tremendous chance there. Kind of a one-hander for Mildakov.
Well, I've chased Ken Yaremchuk and I'll tell you right now, that man, I never went fast enough to hurt myself. That man goes too fast.
Larionov, Kurutov and Makarov with Fetisov and Kasatonov. And as Canada has done for much of the game, they send out HEBШEYD, BERRI, and SHERVIN. The coach talking to McGillney.
McGillney's upset. The coach is really upset.
Was that a pat to go get him or don't do it again?
Not from Tikhonov, it wasn't. Go get him. It was, what'd you do?
I think he said, the coach are whacking at you. Here's Gregg trying to clear it. We're in the final minute of the second period. Randy Gregg trying to move it out of there. Held in by the Soviets, but now they whistle it down because of a hand pass. 47 seconds left here in the second period. 2-0 in favor of the Soviet Union.
That's a Calgary draft choice right there. I don't know whether he'll ever wind up with Fletcher or not. I'm sure you'd like to have him.
I'd like to see, I don't know if the National Hockey would allow it, but I'd like to see Calgary keep the big rink and see if it really makes a difference in the standings. And I'm glad I'm out of the league.
I was going to say that. Fine for you since you've retired. Here's Gregg trying to feed it to HEBSHEYD. Shot in. Now there's a tripping call as the Canadian player Zalapsky upended, and Soviets will get a penalty. Canada on the delayed call trying to center it. And now as Kasatonov comes up with it, now a tripping penalty.
Makarov, Dan, what happened was Zalapsky was moving in. Makarov had his stick down, and Zalapsky either stepped on the stick or got a little help. I think we'll have to see here. Right along the boards. Here he comes in there. And he got the stick.
He got tripped. He put it right on that left ankle. And when you want to take that, if that's your next stride, you're going to be looking at the ice awful close.
5th penalty of the game, second to the Soviets. 23 seconds left in the period. Let's see what Dave King sends out for a power play alignment. HEBSHEYD, Poplinski, and Boisvert up front. Tambellini will be a point man along with Felix. Ready on the faceoff. HEBSHEYD against Kurutov, and Kurutov wins it. Fetisov trying to clear it, got it to Kurutov, who fires it down the ice. This is Tambellini. To Felix. 10 seconds left in the period. Here's HEBSHEYD, long shot, hit Fetisov and went wide. Fetisov back to clear it out in front. Kurutov there to cover up. And he carries out as the buzzer goes to end the second period. A terrific period for the Soviets.
Well, they pick up the goals from Yashin and Bekov, and they have a 2-0 lead now. And it's going to be uphill for Canada from here on out.
Shots on goal favor the Soviets too, 21-14. It's 2-0 Soviets.
Tambolini is a point man going for more offense, but he doesn't very often get to carry the puck up the ice and start looking where you're going to dump it in. This is kind of a new thing for him right now, and that really wasn't his best dumping.
Here's Yanni for Canada. 28 seconds left in the penalty. Yanni flips it in. And again, Semyonov back to clear it. Bilgron knocks it down, but Big Semyonov came up with the puck to Svetlov. And the Soviets come to center. Svetlov moving in, gets it to Semyonov. He's too well checked by Yanni, and then jammed into the boards. Svetlov for the Soviets. Loses it, and back comes Yaremchuk. Makarov out of the penalty box. Pass to Zalapsky. Shoots up high off the glass. And right over the glass into the crowd. Meanwhile, the Soviets have killed off the penalty.
Well, the Soviets doing a very, very good job. You know, they're so quick at getting back there. The Canadians trying to get in on top of them and hem them in. But Zarli Zalapsky got the pass there. It wasn't on his stick. He really had it. Was a bouncing puck. And by the time he was waiting for it to settle down, the Soviet defenseman got there and deflected that puck into the crowd.
Brad Park, you've been involved with the teams down 2-0 coming into the third period. What do we have to do to open this thing up and get a goal?
Well, it depends if you're down 1 goal or 2 goals or 4 goals. If you're down 4 goals, you try to get one every 5 minutes. If you're down 2 goals, which the Canadians are right now, you're looking at getting one in the first 10 minutes. And if you can accomplish that, that means you've got 10 minutes to tie this hockey game.
Here's Malinowski getting it to Tim Waters. Waters firing it in. And Byakin is back for the Soviets. To Kamiensky. Randy Gregg skates him off. Bekov fires it in. Homatov in to get it. Couldn't. Now Gusarov in behind the net to Bekov. And he got upended by Waters. Bekov after it again. Into the corner. Homatov tries to center. Into the other corner. Kamiensky bumping with Shervin. Kamiensky gets the puck. Couldn't get it centered. Now Homatov tied up by Randy Gregg. Kamiensky into the other corner. To Homatov. Gregg has him tied up before the puck ever got there. Now Bekov out in front. Wrap-around backhand shot. Wide of the target. Gusarov into the corner. Canada's Shervin had it. Lost it. And some tough action on the boards inside Canada's blue line. Now Waters circles back. And over on the far side, BERRI took out Byakin, and that allowed the puck to go down the ice. Bekov back to get it. Soviets leading 2-0. We're early in the third period. Here's Lomakin into the Canadian zone. Check. Canada clear it out to center, and Kasatonov back to get it. Got it away. Here's Chris Felix to Yaremchuk. Canada on offense. Back to the point. Felix shooting. Milnikov the save. And the rebound cleared into center ice. Felix for Yaremchuk. Canada trying to attack again, but Tierney breaks it up. Back he comes. Leaves it for Mogilny, whose shot deflects wide. Tierney a chance. That's blocked. And now Tambolini feeding it into center ice. But Fetisov is back for the Soviets. His pass to number 21, Alexander Tierney. Tierney centered. Mogilny fans on it as he tried to spin around. And Zalapsky. Headman to Boisvert to Yaremchuk at least. Tierney there to intercept that. And circling back is Krutov, number 9. Soviets leading 2-0 and in complete control at this point. Puck shot down the ice. Zalapsky back, and that's icing against the Soviets. Let's look at the fireworks in downtown Calgary tonight.
Lots of them downtown. Not too much here in the Olympic Saddledome. Just the 2 goals have been scored. Boy, that's a show, isn't it?
Glad last night. It is terrific.
Good. Sit here in awe of that. Well, they know how to put on a party in this town, Dan.
That they do. That happens every evening around this time in Calgary. After the medal presentations, they have a laser show and then the fireworks. We'd like some fireworks here. But so far, the Soviets in control, leading 2-0. And they clear it into center ice. Hustling back after it is Tony Styles. Burke out of the net to play the puck. Fires it high off the glass, and Shervin poked it ahead to BERRI. BERRI checked by Kravchuk on the play. Now Styles jumped up, knocked it down, crosses the red line, and dumps it in. In comes Shervin. Now Hampshire. Shot behind the net. Styles trying to center, a deflection by Hampshire, but off the target, and Makarov comes up with the puck. Look at him stick handle his way out of trouble. Now they drop it to Stelnov, who gives it to Makarov. Lost it. Chance for Zalapsky, but Stelnov back defensively to Karutov with Makarov. Only Waters back, and he poked it off the Soviet player's stick and took him out of the play, and Gord Shervin starts back. Into center ice to Hampshire. Hampshire trying to center. Broken up and cleared back out. Here's Karutov to Makarov. Moving in, a chance, and missing was Semyonov as he went to his backhand. Now centered and off a skate. And Burke had to be sharp and alert on that one. Here's Schreiber for Canada. Intercepting on the blue line was Svetlov. Back into center ice for Svetlov. Into Yashin. Shot right on. Burke to save. Over on the far side for Svetlov. Back on the point. Shot wide of the net. And it's cleared around on the boards by Trent Yanni. And coming up with it is Schreiber. For Yanni. Headmanning it ahead to Bradley. Into Boisvert. Centered. Put it right in front, but Schreiber couldn't try or get a stick on it for the deflection. And the Soviets come back. Yashin moving in on left wing. Taken out by Yanni. And Felix has it for Canada. Headmanning to Poplinski, who flies into the Soviet zone on left wing. Poplinski can't get it centered as he battles with Fetisov, and then the Soviets clear it out. This is Styles back to get it. Rolled off his stick, and having to hustle back was Boisvert. Soviets, Ron, playing almost a letter-perfect game right here.
Well, right now they've just got Canada tied so completely up.
There's an offensive chance by Kamensky that Burke had to stop. Centered. And now Poplinski starts back. Kamensky held it in to Homatov. Into Kamensky. Kamensky cuts in. Burke slid out, made the save. And Felix comes back for Canada. Tim Malinowski couldn't get it out of the zone. Felix back after it. Soviets leading 2-0. And seemingly in control right here. Felix starts back, fires it in. Fetisov back to get it. Loses. Malinowski a chance. Check before he could shoot, and Fetisov clearing it. Bekov got it to center. Zalapsky loses. Now Mogilny giving it to Bekov. Bekov tied up by Zalapsky and ridden out. Bilgrau over to get it. To Yaremchuk. And he circles his own goal. Yaremchuk lost it. Held in by Lomakin. Side of the net. Mogilny shoots. He scores! The youngster Mogilny to make it 3-0 for the Soviet Union.
Well, Canada just simply could not get out of its own zone. Mogilny celebrating, of course, but they kept trying, and things would happen. They turn it over before they got to the line. Canada feeling the pressure of almost a full-court press. And here's Mogilny just getting it alone aside of the net and putting it, I think, between the pads of Burke.
I think Sean...
Here's the turnover right here. That was the key to it.
I think Sean Burke was playing the pass. Watches Mogilny gets the puck here. He comes in front. Now, Burke starts to... He's turned sideways. Instead of just playing the shooter, he's turned sideways because he's thinking he's having to go to the other side. You can't fault him because the Soviets just had two excellent chances just before that by Kamensky and Semyonov. They've been in alone on Sean Burke, and he's starting to guess who's going to be free, who's going to get the open puck, and am I going to look bad?
I'll give hockey fans a tip. Remember that name Mogilny for future international games. Just a youngster, and that's his second goal of this tournament. Lomakin assisting. 8 minutes the time gives the Soviets a 3-0 lead. Now Shervin for Canada, drive. Rebound to Hampshire, but Mylnikov able to hold it out. And it's cleared to center ice. Shervin has it there. Dropping it back for Trent Ioane.
Mylnikov doesn't have much of a glove hand, but the way the defense is playing in front of him, it doesn't seem to matter.
Waters getting it to Shervin. It's shot in, and Larionov goes back to pick it up. Larionov beats one man, then feeds it to Stelnov into center ice. Soviets were going to change, but Kravchuk saw the puck and then fired it in, and Burke gives it to Felix. Up the middle, missing Bradley, goes the length of the ice. Bayakin back to touch it, and that's icing against Canada. 11:01 to play, and the Soviets with a 3-0 lead.
Shervin, who had the chance in front of the net, watch for him, he's number 10, intercepted it at the blue line and then whistled it off the glove, tried to snap it, but then he covered up alertly. Canada needs a break on something like that. They're not getting them. Little line, you make your own breaks, and it's really not that tough around the net.
Dave King talking it up at Team Canada's bench. He felt his club almost had to win this game to stay alive, and I think we agree, Ron.
Well, they now really are up against it.
Loose puck. Burke comes out, cleared it. Knocked down. Gusarov. Now the Svetlov in front. Semyonov just missed on the backhand. Here's Semyonov again. Now Svetlov out in front. Centered it. Bayakin a drive, and Burke kicked out his right pad to stop that. In the corner is Yashin, and he's tied up on the play by Felix. Puck came loose to the point. Gusarov shot it back in, and Felix and Yashin are still there. Now Semyonov. And it's Canada clearing it out of there. Serge Poivre flips it down into the Soviet zone with Semyonov back to get it. And Bayakin just clears it to the Canadian blue line. Poplinski back to Randy Gregg. Now to Poplinski again, but Gusarov there to ride him out. And Gregg goes back for Canada. Gregg lead pass. Kasatonov there to intercept. Over on left wing for Fetisov. Now shooting it ahead on right wing, and back is Malinowski for Canada. Canada trailing 3-0 and needing some offense badly at this point. Bekov to Kamensky. Shot wide of the target. And it bounces into center ice. Fetisov, who's been so dominant through these Olympics, shoots it in. Here's Bekov trying to center. Knocked down by Gregg. And back for Canada comes Tambellini. In for Vilgra. He drops it back. Comes to Zalapsky, but the shot blocked by Kamensky. And here comes Homatov for the Soviets. Puts on the brakes. Tries to make a play. Does. Lomakin in front. Bekov is stopped by Burke from close in.
Don't fault Burke on this game. He has been outstanding.
Centered again. Kasatonov a shot, and that one blocked by Shervin. And now Canada's Hampshire starts back. Not as far as center. Now Waters firing it in, and the Soviets go back.
Dan, I think the Soviets, they smell a kill here right now. They're gonna run this score up. They got the Canadians backing in. The Canadians are trying to get some offense, making gambles. It's like they smell a kill and they want to go after them.
3-0. The Soviets leading. Lomakin trying to carry out. Yanni at the blue line, giving it to Gorge. Shervin to Waters. And it's dumped in. And it's offside at the Soviet blue line. 8:13 to play. The Soviets leading Canada 3-0. We'll be right back.
Nowhere on earth but at the Bay will you find savings like this on Beaumark Floor Care. Save 25% on all Beaumark Floor Care, designed to pick up everything from dirt and fluff to stardust. Don't miss this sensational offer of 25% off Beaumark Floor Care, only at the Bay during Flying Colors. The sale's so great, it's out of this world.
Well, the Soviets here in the third period have scored a goal. They've outshot Canada 8-3. Here is Larionov with a drive just wide of the net. Now a loose puck chased after by Ken Berry, or by Brian Bradley it is. Bradley trying to get it in front, but there defensively was Stelnov. And now Kravchuk into center ice. To Stelnov as he moves on the attack. Got it in front. Cleared away by Waters. Soviets Makarov in the grasp of Waters. And Bradley is back for Canada. Bradley over to Tony Styles. Now to Yaremchuk. Up the middle to Tambellini. Got to center, but Karutov knocked it down, and Larionov drops it back to Byakin. He gives it to Larionov. Soviets are playing that funny game. They won't give you the puck. Here's a long pass by Canada down the ice. And as Gusarov goes back to touch it, that's icing against Canada.
Well, I started to say earlier in the game that Canada had not scored a goal against the Soviet Union in the Olympics since 1980. They had a game in which they scored 4, lost 6-4 in 1980, and the last one, too. There's a shot just wide of the net. Grazed the outside of the post on Shon БУРК. БУRК will tell you he had it all the way. There's Igor Larionov. Let that shot go.
Soviets well on their way to their 6th straight victory in these Olympics. To this point, they've outscored the opposition 35-10. I think that's kind of a dominant statistic.
Well, last year in the last Olympics in the medal round, they gave up only 1 goal in the medal round. And they look like they're going to be just as tough this time around. Of course, the guy in the goal that time was Tretiak.
Here's a loose puck knocked into center ice by Yashin. Going back after it, Zalapsky for Canada. Canada trailing 3-0 and running out of time. Berry now pokes it to center. Tambellini races after it, but Kasatonov is there to clear it to center. And Canada drop it back to Zalapsky. Now Randy Gregg to Malinowski, but Kasatonov there to intercept. Soviets. Svetlov into the zone. Dropping it back. Here's a chance for Semyonov, and his shot deflects and goes up over the glass into the crowd.
Sitting right down in front of our broadcast booth is the general manager of the Boston Bruins, Harry Sinden. Way back in 1960, I'm sure Harry Sinden left Squaw Valley very disappointed that he only got a silver medal. But he now, I'm sure, realizes just what that silver medal means. It has been a long, lean period since 1960. Canada has won only a bronze since, so they've never done as well. Harry was part of the Kitchener-Waterloo Dutchman team that went to the 1980 Olympics and finished second behind the United States.
Here's Kamensky for the Soviets trying to center it. Kamensky again does get it in front, but SHERVIN there for Canada. Fires it out to center ice to Vilgraw. Vilgraw headed out by Kravchuk and Bekov, who's been all over the place tonight for the Soviets. Comes up with it, and the Soviets come right back. Kamensky to Homatov, just tipped away by ЙОУНИ. And then he knocks Homatov to the ice in the corner. Homatov gets back up and continues to battle. Out in front to Kamensky, but Felix cleared it away. Here's Stelnov holding it in. And Canada fired around to Trent ЙОUNИ. 5.5 minutes left. 3-0 for the Soviets, who have stopped Canada cold here in the third period, and in the bargain scored another goal. Shot in by the Soviets. Mogilny into the corner with Styles. Lomakin comes in. Now Mogilny gets his stick up with Styles. They fence away. Now Lomakin and Poplinski battle. And Felix back to get the puck. Up the middle for Poplinski. Into Hampshire, but just tipped away by Gusarov. And here comes Mogilny over to Stelnov. To Lomakin. Back into Stelnov into the corner. Centered. There's Mogilny in front, but just could get a stick on it. Hampshire back for Canada. To Poplinski. But he's taken out by Gusarov, and Milnikov cleared it away.
Dan, if you've ever been stuck in a traffic jam and you're getting frustrated and impatient, and everybody is going the other way, and you've got to flow to them, that's what the Canadians are facing right now. The Soviets have got a great flow. Every pass they're making is on the stick. They're skating with confidence. The Canadians are struggling. They feel like they're in a traffic jam and they're just spinning their wheels.
4:12 to play. Puck at center ice, and that's Larionov stepping up to break it up. Makarov in to take Gregg out of the play. Makarov comes up with the puck. Centered in front, just missed the oncoming Fetisov, and it comes back to Kasatonov. Now back in the Canadian zone, a little bit of a skirmish. Randy, Gregg, and Makarov. And I think we're going to get penalties against both here.
Well, right behind the play. They've been at it all day. I've seldom seen Randy Gregg as aggressive as he has been here. There's a holding and a roughing call being handed out. Makarov waits right to the bench, and Gregg following.
Well, a lot of rough rides, and Makarov, after Gregg had given him a rough ride, just took his feet out from under him.
Well, they've been holding, and the tempers are bound to get a little edgy.
Brad, I don't know if this third period reminds me as much of a traffic jam as it does a clinic. And the Soviets are really putting a clinic on. There you see Harry Senden with Chicago GM Ball Pulper.
As I say, not very many people know that Harry is a silver medalist in the Olympics. There's the business in front of the net. Finally, we had a Soviet lose his temper.
Holding against Gregg, tripping against Makarov. 16:04 the time. And it looks as though the Soviets are going to jump into first place in the medal round.
Well, they had to get the victory. At this moment, Finland's in first place. And with the 2 points here, the Soviets will move back in front by a point.
And Canada with just only 1 point in 5th place. And seeing their medal chances go slightly down the drain right here against the Soviets. Here's Fetisov into Larionov. Centered in front, they score! Karutov on as pretty a passing play as you will see.
That was just magic. That puck went 1, 2, 3 into the net.
Well, just a great play by the Soviets. Maybe it's the clinic Dan was talking about. Look here as they cross the line. Here's Larionov just finding Khrushchev going to the net, and he redirects the puck. Ryan Bradley was on his tail, but Khrushchev, if you ever try to check a fire plug, that's like trying to check him. You just can't get a good piece of him, and even if you do, you're going to be above him. He has that low differential in weight where he's so strong and so low to the ice, you never get a good piece of. A beautiful goal.
Karutov, 6th of the Olympics from Larionov and Fetisov. 16:37 the time. 4-0 Soviets.
First time that the big green machine has been on the ice for a goal.
You know, around 2 weeks ago, this Friday, on our opening show from these Olympics, I talked about the Soviets coming back to the pack, that they weren't as good as they used to be. Should I apologize right here?
No, because I think that nobody could predict that 2 or 3 players would suddenly rise above the play that they have put in the last couple of, the last 2 years, really. Fetisov has been back to the old Fetisov, the one that said he's maybe the best defenseman in the world. We've had Larionov playing far beyond the type of hockey we saw him play in the Canada Cup. Karutov and Makarov, and some of these young players haven't played badly either, but they're the keys, and they've been controlling the game.
Puck is shot in. Hampshire gets it to Shervin. He's tied up. Kamensky now coming up with it with 2.5 minutes remaining, and the Soviets leading 4-0. Kamensky got to center and has to circle back. Now to Gusarov, to Bekov, and it's dumped in by the Soviet Union, who have a big 4-0 lead. Waters to Zalapsky. Into center ice to Berry. Berry all by himself, and then ridden out of the play by Byakin. And the Soviets, Bekov, carries out of the zone. He gives it to Gusarov. 2 minutes to play in the game. We're under 2 minutes remaining in a long night for Canada. And the Soviets have a 4-0 lead. Here is Waters getting it to center. Womakin knocks it down. Here's Makarov breaking away. In the clear, scores! Makarov makes it 5-0.
Well, all of a sudden they're getting loose. Canada now has kind of come out of its checking game, and they're getting free on them. That makes it 5-0. Makarov.
If you want to see the strength of the Soviet players, now this guy is not a big guy. Makarov, right now, Makarov, watch him go here. Watch him take the slash right there. Boom, and he just cuts back. I mean, he did not move. He did exactly what he wanted. A small guy, but tremendously strong.
Now the question is, will they get the shutout? And if the Soviets do, in the 7 meetings between Canada and the Soviet Union in Olympic history, it will be the 4th time the Soviets have shut Canada out. It goes right back to 1956 when a goaltender named Puchkov was in there for the Soviet Union. In 1968 at Grenoble, it was Konovalenko. In 1984, Tretiak. And now it would appear, with 1:33 left, the name will be Mushkin. Or Milnikov, rather.
Here's another look at it. Here's where he takes the slash and the cross-check. And believe me, he did not move an inch. What a strong man.
Well, the Soviets are going to jump to the top of the pack with 6 points. Finland with 5, Sweden 4, Germany 2, Canada 1, Czechoslovakia nothing. What does that leave left for Canada with 2 games to play?
Well, 2 games are against Germany and Czechoslovakia. And looking at the games those 2 teams played today, Canada is capable of winning those games. If they do, they would have 5 points. Now they need some help. Sweden will be playing Germany. They're ahead of Canada. Germany, well, we don't know. Canada, at this point, needs some help to get 3rd, has a good chance of being 4th in the tournament.
Here's Tambellini shooting it in, and that's offside at the Soviet blue line. The last scoring play, Makarov, Brumlow-Mackin, 18-16 the time, to make it 5-0.
The Swedes have a game against Germany, and they have a game against the Soviet Union. And that's the key. If Sweden somehow lost both of those games and Canada won both of its games, they would get a bronze medal. But it is, as I say, they're going to need some help, especially from West Germany. And, of course, they have to beat West Germany themselves. And West Germany has had good nights and, obviously, bad nights. They had a bad night this particular day.
1:06 to play. The Soviets 5, Canada nothing. Raining on the parade a little bit here in Calgary tonight, these Soviets. Against the host country's hockey club. Here's a lead pass to Kravchuk in center ice. Firing it to Larionov. Felix is there. Over to Randy Gregg in Canada. Come to center, and that's called back on a 2-line offside. And then Mr. Vilgrand and Mr. Kravchuk differ on something.
Well, Canada, we talked about being shut out. They've been shut out now by the Soviets over 100 minutes. 2 straight games plus about 13 minutes of a game in which, by the way, Canada tied the Soviets 4-4. This was at Lake Placid. And then a couple of late goals by the Soviets allowed them to win.
High stick. That stops play, and they'll move the face-off into the Soviet zone. No taking anything away from this Soviet machine tonight, Ron.
Well, they've been great. They withstood a lot of pressure that Canada put on them. They're difficult. Dave King was counting on them losing their poise. That was the one thing he said, that if we can get their goat, in effect, we might be able to take advantage of that. The Soviets did not allow anybody to get their goat, if you'll forgive the expression.
Since the first period, the Soviets have been in control. Here's Schreiber in the corner, trying to center, getting it to Malinowski. Got it in front, but there's Makarov with 18 seconds left, and Makarov flies out of his own zone and just drops it back to the defenseman Byakin. They're protecting the shutout for their goaltender in this game, Sergei Milnikov. Puck cleared down the ice. Gregg back to get it with 1 second left. Just time for a face-off in the Soviet end of the rink, and I'm sure everyone would just have soon seen that final second tick off.
Well, shutouts seem to be the norm in the medal round. Of all the games played in the medal round last Olympics, there were 4 shutouts. There were only 4 games played in the medal round, and 4 shutouts. 2 of the 3 now in this medal round have been shutouts. And there it is, another one.
A long evening for Canada comes to an end, and the Soviets go 6-0. They outshoot Canada 33-17. Yashin, Bekov, Mogilny, Karutov, and Makarov score. Milnikov gets the shutout. The Soviets dominant here tonight, and they defeat Canada 5-0 at the Saddle Dome. The final score, Soviets 5, Canada nothing.
Other city center stops along 6th Avenue. Buses leave from gate 4.
Well, they're streaming out of the Saddle Dome just across the road from where we are, rather disconsolate group. naturally, because the USSR defeated Canada tonight 5-0. That puts the Soviet Union in top spot in the battleground play. They have 6 points. Finland has 5, Sweden 4, West Germany 2, Canada 1, Czechoslovakia 0. The next